Hello everyone and welcome to another video and what is another episode of RG Tech News. This is the mini-series where we just talk about things that have happened in the world of tech over the past week or so. Now, to start with, I don't usually talk about stuff like this high-end things, but the RTX 3080 of course launched and it wasn't the smoothest of events. Now, of course, we had the whole thing with so-called scalpers buying up these cards and then selling them for ridiculous prices on sites like eBay. Now, gamers and maybe other members of the tech community or just other eBay members in general were having none of this, and every time one of these cards got listed on eBay, prices were and still are going through the roof. You know, I've seen a couple of other videos about this happening in the United States and mainland Europe, so I thought I'd check eBay here in the UK, and sure enough, a similar thing is happening. I mean, we've got 3080s going for £50,000, £60,000, and of course what happens here is the buyers end up winning these cards for these astronomical amounts of money, and then they don't pay. In the long run, it's all an attempt to teach them a lesson. Now, some of these were selling for what seemed like normal prices, but I actually went through a couple of the ones that sold for say £1,000, which is still way too much, and saw that the seller had sometimes ended the listing early because they didn't feel like they had got enough. I mean, what is all that about really? No one should be paying that sort of money. If you want to buy a 3080 and you've said to yourself, I'm willing to spend £1,000, which is almost double the recommended retail price, then just don't. Okay, it's really not worth it at the moment. Just wait. Okay, just wait. Be sensible about it. If you're Jeff Bezos and you're a billionaire, then maybe it's worth paying a bit more, but nah. Jeff, if you're watching, don't do it. To contradict myself massively, I actually did bid on one of these items. So I should clarify, the reason I did this was simply just to test the system, whether or not I would get massively outbid. You shouldn't really support the people that are buying these in bulk to resell. I put in a sensible bid. One of them was at about £700, which is only £50 or so more than the RRP, and it had 32 minutes left. And when I checked eBay again, when their listing had about 30 seconds left, it was at about £46,000. So yeah, I was well and truly outbid there and wasn't willing to go quite that high. The thing is as well with some of these listings, these sellers don't even have the card yet. They've just have confirmed pre-orders so that they know they'll be getting one when it becomes available, and as soon as it arrives with them, they'll just ship it off to the seller on eBay. Sort of like drop shipping in a way, but you know, all they've got is a bit of paper or an email that says you're entitled to one of these cards. So yeah, they don't even have the card in their possession at the time of listing, probably. There was all this talk of people botting the Nvidia site to get these cards, and then I've heard about people actually setting up bots that bid on these listings automatically. So every time a new 3080 gets listed at a ridiculous price, these bots automatically kick in and bid it up to like £10,000 so that no one else bids on it, or it ends without the seller paying, which, to be honest, is quite funny, I guess. So I've got another piece of news to talk about now, and that is Cyberpunk 2077 related. Of course, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out, well, actually, you know what? Let me just double check. November the 18th, and the minimum and recommended system requirements have just been revealed. Now, I was expecting some pretty beastie requirements to be required here, you know, both in terms of the minimum and the recommended specs, but all we have on the side of the recommended is a GTX 1060 6GB or R9 Fury, as well as an i7 4790 or AMD Ryzen 3 3200G, which honestly is pretty modest when you consider some of the other big releases that have come out this year, their minimum specs, and of course footage from the game itself. The minimum requirements are even better: an i5 3570K, or an FX 8310. I've never heard of an FX 8310. I've heard of an 8300 and 8320, but never an 8310. 8 gigs of RAM and a GTX 780 or RX 470. Also included is Windows 7, which is quite a surprise. So there we go. Maybe these requirements were written out before the support for Windows 7 ended, but I don't know. Windows 7 or Windows 10 64-bit, of course. The 783GB or the RX 470, both decent choices. I think the RX 470 is going to be a bit better in 2020, but it all depends on whether the game is more optimized for Nvidia or AMD, or whether it just runs better on one or the other. I'm happy to see those requirements though. I think that they're actually lower than I and a lot of other people expected, so we'll have to see how it runs when it comes out. That just about does it for the tech news that I found interesting this week. Two big stories there, I think, the RTX 3080 stuff and the Cyberpunk 2077 system requirements. Thank you very much for watching this Saturday video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, leave a dislike if you didn't. Let me know what you think of either of the two stories mentioned today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one.